I will be presenting and demonstrating Symantec endpoint protection system lockdown in whitelisting mode. What is system lockdown? System lockdown is a feature that you can use to control and limit the application that can run on a client's computer. System lockdown operates in either a whitelisting or a blacklisting mode. In either mode, system lockdown uses fingerprint lists that contains the checksums and the location of all the applications to verify whether an application is approved or unapproved. The whitelisting mode allows only applications on a specified list. Other applications are blocked. The blacklist mode block only applications on a specified list. Any other application are allowed. There are certain requirements for system lockdown. The system has to be running SEP 12 or 14 client. Windows OS only application device control component needs to be installed. The configuration steps. There are 4 steps that need to be implemented. The first one is generating fingerprint list for a base image. Input file fingerprint list into the manager. And the third one is very crucial. Test the functionality before putting into productions. Always review the unapproved applications and add the appropriate fingerprint to the list. And the last one, you enable whitelist and blacklist mode in the SEP manager. We will first create a base image so that we'll have a whitelist file fingerprint list. There's 2 methods of generating a fingerprint list. You can either run a command through the console, or you can run a checksum tool utility that comes with SEP that reside in the Symantec endpoint protection folder. We will do a demonstration on both methods. Here I have in the console, the manager console, we have a group called System Lockdown that contains 3 clients, 2 servers, and 1 workstation. The System Lockdown policy at this point, it is turned off. First, we're going to send a command to the clients to generate a fingerprint list and provide that to the manager. To run a command, you can either select an individual machine and choose Run and select Collect Fingerprint. You can also select a group of machines, choose Run and Collect, or you can do the actual group itself. You can right-click on the group and say Run Command and Collect Fingerprint. Today we're going to do 2 clients. We're going to right-click and we're going to Run and Collect Fingerprint. It informs you that the command has been sent. It's going to be available through the monitor to view, and as the client checks in, it will receive that command to run a checksum locally on the client machine to gather a fingerprint list. Now we send a command to these 2 clients to run a checksum. We're going to examine one of those clients to see the command that gets processed and checksum run in memory. We're going to examine Windows 7 machine. We look at the task manager on Windows 7 machine. And as you see, there's a checksum command that's running at this point. It is running in the background, gathering all the fingerprints, all the application on the system. This process might take an hour to an hour and a half, depending on how many applications are on the system. We now go to one of the machine and run the checksum utility that comes with endpoint protection to generate our own list of fingerprints. This is a Windows 2008 server, and we're going to go into the Symantec endpoint protection and run the checksum command. The command is checksum with the parameter of the file that you want to dump the data to, and the C:// is to scan the whole system. As we execute, now it goes through and check all the application and place the fingerprint list and the application path into the text file that we specified. My checksum completed and took approximately about an hour to complete, and it generated a file called fprint list.txt that I specified during my parameter switch. This particular file here was created through the command line that I just ran. And as you can view from, let's take a look at the file itself to see what's in it. As you can see from the file, it has a fingerprint and the path to the application that's on the system. It goes through and gather all the data, all the application you have on the machine. Now we take this list and we're going to bring it to into our manager. Now back to the manager itself. Now to the two clients that we sent a request to run the command to gather fingerprint list, it should have completed the process and forward that information to the manager. So under the policy tab, under policy components, and the fingerprint list, here are the two files that was ran previously, and it dumped the fingerprint list into a file and forward that to the manager. And these two files cannot be modified. The only way you can update those two files is to run the checksum again on the client machine through the console, send a command. But these two files cannot be modified. Now we're going to import the fingerprint file that we ran manually on the Windows 7 machine. Now we have three fingerprint files, two from servers and one from Windows 7. The one we ran checksum manually on is a Windows Server machine, which I just brought in right here. Now with these three fingerprint files, we can assign to the system lockdown for our group. Go back to Client, System Lockdown, click on Policies, and we're going to click on System Lockdown. By default, it is disabled, so we're going to select Log Unapproved Applications, select Whitelist Mode. We're going to add the three fingerprints that we generated. Unfortunately, you cannot select them all at once. You can select one at a time and click OK. Now we have three fingerprints and assigned to the system lockdown to monitor the three systems that we're going to be set up for whitelisting. As the client checks in, it will receive that policy to record all unapproved applications, and that information will be sent to the manager. Now we have the fingerprint list assigned to the system lockdown, and as the clients check in, they will receive those fingerprint lists and register all unapproved applications. We'll take a look at a couple clients here. Here we have Windows 2000 box. We have a Symantec that was not registered during our fingerprint generation. So we're going to run Symantec so that it will classify this as unapproved applications. So it's also always crucial to assign the policy and allow the application or the system lockdown to run in log mode for a duration of a week to make sure there's no other application that's being blocked that's crucial. We'll run Symantec on this machine and let it gather data. We're going to run on also Windows 7 machine, which another client that belongs to the system lockdown group. then we'll go back to the Windows 2000 server. That should be done. We'll click on Collect Data. And as this application runs, we're going to take a look at the unapproved application list to see if it actually gathers information about the Symantec application. We'll go back to our manager and we'll take a look at the unapproved application. So under System Lockdown, we have status. The current test has been running for 7 minutes and 34 seconds with 5 exceptions. And when we click on View Unapproved Application, here's a list of applications that was not registered or didn't have a fingerprint. And Symantec, as you can see, is on the list of application that was not registered. So at this point, we can either run the command to capture that particular fingerprint and add it manually to the list, or request to gather an update of the fingerprint from the client machine. So if you run this for a week, your list should be pretty large. At that point, you can run the collect fingerprint again on the client machine to gather the data. At this point, we're going to cancel this process, and we're going to enable system lockdown, and we will see how it blocks the Symantec. We're going to turn it on. We're not going to approve any application at all. That's been registered under unapproved applications. So it is enabled. Click OK. The system lockdown testing has been running less than 1 day. It informs you that do you really want to do this? Like I say, it's always recommended to test it more than 1 day or at least a week, or depend on the system you're trying to lock down, how long you want to record the fingerprint. Yes, and now we're going to wait a couple of seconds, and we'll go over the client machines and run Symantec. We're going to go over the Windows server machine. We're going to cancel this Symantec, and we'll close it down. And no, we don't want to save. Exit. Now, as soon as the clients check in and determine that it needs to enable system lockdown, and all the approved application that was generated previously was imported to the manager. So any new application that's on this client will be blocked. We're going to cancel that from the Windows 7 machine also. Yes. Close that down. Now we cancel the Symantec from the server and the workstation here, and we enable system lockdown with the prior fingerprint list. Now, if we try to run Symantec on this machine again, which is an unapproved application, we'll get an error message stating that the application is not allowed and it's been blocked. You can turn off this notification. That's an option that can be enabled or disabled through the console. But any application that's not in the fingerprint list will be blocked from running on this machine. Now this is in the whitelist mode. Only okay. And we'll go back to the console. Lockdown. And you can, like I say, you can notify the user if an application is blocked or unblocked, and you can change the notification text here. It's in whitelist mode, and that's pretty much the demonstration of system lockdown. Let's recap. There are 4 steps in turning on system lockdown: generate a fingerprint list, import file fingerprint list into the manager, thoroughly test the functionality before making it to production, and then enable whitelist and blacklist mode in the manager. And there's 2 methods of gathering the fingerprint list, either through the console or through the command that Symantec provides, checksum command in the Symantec endpoint protection folder. And you import the fingerprint list into the manager, and then you turn on system lockdown in log unapproved mode first, add in the fingerprint, and then allow the application to run for a duration of a week to make sure there's no unapproved applications that need to be added to the list. And then after that, you turn on the enable system lockdown. Thank you.